Hi, everyone. Hello and welcome. We are so happy you could join us today for our webinar, Achieving ISO 9001 Success with Digital Quality. So, before we begin, just a quick housekeeping item. Please feel free to submit any questions that you may have throughout the session in the Q&A chat. We will have plenty of time at the end to answer your questions. And this session is being recorded, so you will receive an email with a link to the recording after the webinar. All right, so let's get started. So, just some quick introductions. My name is Jennifer Bianchini. I'm a member of the product marketing team at Octave, formerly known as ETQ. And today I'm excited to have Alicia Needs from Takeuchi, where she is a manager for quality assurance. Welcome, Alicia.
Thank you, Jennifer.
All right. So today we're going to cover some of the challenges you might be facing in quality management and then what you should take into consideration when you are evaluating a QMS. Then Alicia will share Takeuchi's journey achieving ISO 9001 success. And as I mentioned before, we're going to have plenty of time at the end for questions. So don't be shy. Put on your quality champion hat and drop those questions into the chat. So let's dive in, shall we? All right. So, first, I'd like to kick things off with a quick poll question. I would just love to be able to take the temperature of the room, so to speak, to see how you are managing your quality management processes today. So, taking a look at some of the options here, are you using paper processes, or perhaps it's Excel and spreadsheets, or maybe you're storing your documents in SharePoint and or shared drives, or has your organization developed a homegrown QMS or using a legacy system? Or maybe it's just a little bit of everything. So we'll give it a quick second here and see what the results are. Okay, let's take a look at the results. All right, so it looks like we have I'm not surprised. A little bit of everything. Um, Not surprised to see that at all. I think everyone, when they're trying to be efficient with quality, creating an excellent product, you tend to bring in what you know works. But we're going to address this today and help you out with what it looks like when you and what you should be thinking about when you are evaluating a vendor for your QMS. So that was very insightful. Thank you, everyone, for indulging me. Okay, so next, let's move on and let's get started. Next slide, please. All right. So let's break this down and take a look at some of the common challenges that we have seen in some of our conversations with customers, and maybe you're facing them as well. So first, we have manual systems. So this is where, like in our survey question, we were referring to paper. So you either have information that is stuck in a filing cabinet or it's sitting at somebody's desk and it's not easily accessible to the people who need it. Then there are siloed systems. So this is everything from spreadsheets to SharePoint. You have the information in a place where it should ideally it should be shared, but the information is hard to share, and the integration is limited with the other systems that your organization is using. Next, there is not having that visibility that you need into the data. So it's difficult to spot quality trends or provide the reporting that you need to on quality management. And then we have inefficiency. So to sum this up, I think the best way is we once had a customer tell us, I just want to store the document. So systems, they tend to be not flexible, they're not very user friendly. It's very difficult to um, store that document and get it shared out to the people who need it. And then wrapping things up are version control. So there could be multiple versions of a document floating around, and no one is really sure which one is the most up to date one or the most correct one to be using. So these are just a few examples, but overall, they can all make our quality processes frustrating and inefficient. But we have a better way, and it's a quality management system. So let's talk about building a game plan for a QMS. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm sure many of you are very familiar with ISO 9001. It's the most widely accepted framework. It helps to improve customer satisfaction by driving consistent quality guided by the seven principles. So you can think of these seven principles as your roadmap when you're assessing a QMS. They make a quality company wide, they make quality a company wide priority. So it's not just on the quality department to have the responsibility. So let's take a look at these, and let's start with look at the top here, looking at having a customer focus. So here you'll want to be customer centric and build your customer satisfaction and loyalty. So really building that customer base. Next is for your leadership team. So with this, they're going to want to align purpose and direction for quality throughout the organization. So you're creating an environment where people can achieve their quality goals. Then we have engagement of the people. So here you'll want to ensure that staff feels valued and they understand their role when it comes to quality, and they feel that they can openly communicate when needed on the quality processes that are taking place. Next, we have a process approach. So here it's about using consistent, interconnected processes for predictable results. And then we don't want to forget to look for improvements along the way. So focus on the continuous improvement, the root cause analysis, and having that innovation to stay agile. And then we have making decisions that are grounded in data. So it's not assumptions. So you're using evidence based decision making. And then rounding this up, we have relationship management. So you're going to extend quality to your partners and your suppliers. By extending this, you're going to really help to increase your customer value, your customer satisfaction, the loyalty that we talked about at the very beginning. So these seven principles are very practical and they're very proven guide map for getting set up and starting your quality management journey. Okay, so next slide, please. Now that we've got this good foundation on the seven principles for ISO 9001, you can start mapping out your journey for a quality management system. So we recommend breaking it down into 4 doable steps, so it doesn't feel like you have this really large, daunting project, though it may feel like it at times. So let's take a look at step 1. So here, you're going to assess the current state of affairs in the world of quality management. So you're going to take a look at how quality management is done today at your organization. Where do the documents live? How do people access the documents? How are changes communicated? What are the error rates? So you're really going to want to identify maybe what's working, what's not working here, but you're also going to want to look at opportunities for automation. What can you automate here? And also, you'll want to take a look at where can you integrate your system. So the ERP and the ERM. So where are ideal places for that to take place? So you're going to capture what's working well so that you can build on it. So the second step is determining your needs. So here's where you're really going to be the quality champion, and you're going to share your findings across departments. And while you're doing this, you're going to gather feedback on how these other teams are managing quality. And then with this, you can now build a blueprint for a QMS that shows how quality delivers strategic value for your organization. Now, the third step is setting your priorities and your goals. So, you're going to define what success looks like. So, you're going to be looking at those short term wins and that long term scalability. So, here you'll also want to make sure you are prioritizing your KPIs for, say, document control, CAPAs, or supplier quality, and you'll want to evaluate a QMS, that the options that it has, that you'll be able to scale and automate effectively what your goals are and your long-term growth for growing. Okay, so our final and fourth step here, and might be the most important one, is building the business case. So how do you do that? You know what you need. You know what the organization is. You've gathered the feedback. You've defined the goals. Now you need to present the business case. So you need to present the ROI very clearly to your leadership, and you're going to focus on the hard cost savings. And when you're doing this, don't forget to include what the risks are if your organization does not invest in a QMS. So you're really going to be engaging with the key stakeholders in your organization at this phase. So that could be the CFO, the COO, or the IT leaders, for example. And you're going to focus the conversations on that bottom line impact that quality has for your organization. All right. So now I am excited to turn the presentation over to Alicia. Alicia, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. And good afternoon, everyone. Like she introduced earlier, my name's Alicia Needs, Quality Assurance Manager here at Takeuchi. I have been here for about a year and a half. And the first goal or the first projects that I was working on was implementing QMS here because we were a starter company. And then the next was to achieve ISO 9001 certification within 9 months in 2025. My background, though, I do have 20 plus years experience in quality and continuous improvement from a previous company that I worked for. They were a lot of automotive and aerospace manufacturing. I spent 7 years in quality in their distribution side before I went back into manufacturing. My passion is working with a team to problem solve and drive to root cause analysis. And I'm always telling everyone on the floor, it isn't the person. So the first thing when they say, they just didn't do it right, or it's the person, I'd say, no, we need to dive into the process. How did the process allow the person to make those mistakes or not follow standard work? I was the project lead for choosing the eQMS selection and then also implementing here at Takeuchi. Next slide, please. So I'll just do a quick background. The history of we are located in Moore, South Carolina. So the building itself was built in February of 2016. for a different company that manufactured excavators. So this building was set up was very good for what we needed. So you can next click. And then April of 2022, Takeuchi purchased this facility and the grounds around it. And then May of 2022, we started the preparation for production startup in September. Then in September of 2022, started track loaders SKD production. So what that means is we don't build it from the ground up. We start with it, comes in about 70% built from our sister plant in Japan, and then we complete the track loader itself per the customer order. And then in April of 2023, we completed 1,000 units assembled. The next one. And then July of 2024, we moved into 6 different models in production, all our TL product, which TL means track loader. Next, I think there's a next one. Yeah. So these are our products. So the one over on the far left is the compact track loader. That is what we produce here in the US. Then there is a compact wheel loader, which is created or manufactured in Germany. The excavators are manufactured in Japan. And then we do have a crawler dumper now that is manufactured in the UK. Next slide, please. So here, plant overview, current production, we are at 40 units a day. We started that last year after I've been here for about 6 months. All models are compact track loaders. Click, please. So our biggest unit that we have there are 12 Vs and 12 Rs. So it depends on what the customer needs as far as the way the arm goes up and down. We started that production back in September of 2022. Next. And then we went to where a TL6, TL8, TL10, these are from 6 to 12 are larger, and those were started manufacturing in 2023. Next one. And then last year we launched the TL11 back in September or July of 2024. Next slide. So the challenge that I had to implement the QMS system when I got here and then select the eQMS and then to achieve ISO 9001 certification was within 9 months. So I had to realize or look into what were the gaps. So I utilized 2 people that I knew very well to help us do the assessment on the QMS system that we had already in place and what wasn't in place. So there was a lot of things that we needed to put in place, get our own quality manual because we were utilizing the quality manual from Japan and the processes were different. We needed to understand what was more important, what was needed for an eQMS, what did the culture here at Takeuchi need from the eQMS, and then divulge into the path forward and eating the elephant one bite at a time. Because with ETQ solution, with the eQMS, there are so many modules that we could go ahead and dive into and start utilizing. But we needed to look at what was our 4 main modules that we really needed right then and there. Next, please. So the assessment results, we found out that our documenting processes were very primitive. Everything was done by pencil and paper to push management of change, to do a document request change. We didn't know which manager had it, who's approved it, who had reviewed the document, and then even controlling those documents after they were approved. We did have those documents stored on a SharePoint drive, but it was hard to get uploaded. It was cumbersome to keep up with a spreadsheet of the rev control, who was actually over those documents that were being updated and approved. The next part was supplier PPAPs. We were starting to look at utilize or onboarding suppliers here in the US not having suppliers in Japan. And then, of course, the management of change was something that was very important to our director of operations, so we could communicate when changes were coming through, because we were having design changes, we were having document control changes, process changes, because like I said, we were a startup company going into, full production. And then to start improving our employee experience because of that communication on our management of change, because what the voice of the employees was that they didn't know when things were happening, and when they happened they didn't understand it. So we thought that was very important for us to do. So we started off with our eQMS by getting document control, our supplier modules, MOC, and then we also incorporated our calibrations within those. So to us, that was our four main important modules that we really needed from ETQ when we first started. So then with the other challenge is last year, we implemented 4 major business projects. And so we have reduced resources. So this project here with securing what eQMS system we were going to use, we implemented an ERP system. We had to be, we were working towards getting ISO certified by September of 2025. Plus, we also launched the new TL11, which took resources from our facility and sent them to Japan, and then people coming from Japan to help us launch this TL11. So there's a lot going on last year. So the solution, I already spoke about that. We did just look at the 4 main modules. Like I said, eating the elephant one bite at a time. We were able to successfully launch those 4 modules, and it improved our timing of getting, the document controls completed. Next slide, please. So with everything going on, we really had to dive into, I first started off with a Gantt chart. Okay, what are the things that I needed to get completed to, evaluate the QMS, what needed to be implemented for us to be successful in the QMS. We utilized the Hoshin Conry matrix to build this out, to understand who was going to be on the team, what shared resources that we had. As ERP slowed down, we utilized, we shared those resources to go back and forth. But we had to come up with a plan to make sure that we could execute what we needed to get done and be successful. Next slide. So we were able to achieve ISO 9001 certification within 9 months in September last year. So I wanted to show that it was a team effort. This was a great challenge for us as a facility, and I just wanted to show the pride I had within this group implementing this. So that's all I have for now. Jennifer, you want to take it back over?
Yes, and thank you, Alicia. I think your challenges are very relatable, and you had very aggressive timeline, and glad you were able to achieve it. All right,
Yes.
so
Thank you.
thank you for sharing your story. And then what I would like to do now is just take a moment to share a little bit about Octave Reliance with our audience. And just to say one more time, we were ETQ, and we recently made the change over to Octave. So we easily do the slip of the tongue, and here still as well, we still refer to Octave as ETQ. But anyway, I digress. So as I'm sure you all are aware, there are a lot of phases within the your journey for a QMS. No matter where you are at your journey, at Octave, we're here and we are ready to help. So we have a comprehensive purpose-built QMS where you can reduce your costs, streamline your operations, and build compliance into your processes. And this all leads to results in improved efficiency, time to market, and sustainability with bottom line results. So we also offer a range of professional services, including managed services, to meet your needs at any stage of your quality journey. And as you can see with Octave Reliance, you are in good company. So we serve hundreds of customers of all shapes and sizes across many industries, and we apply the learnings and best practices from across all of these industries to provide a unique value to all of our customers. So, for over 30 years, we've been empowering quality champions like you to use quality management as a catalyst for business success. And we also aim to be your trusted advisor. So, we love the opportunity to share our expertise and help you. Okay, so let's take a look now at the Q&A and see what questions have come in. And let's see. Okay. Oh, so just to clarify with the ETQ, we were with ETQ, but we changed. Yeah. So ETQ is now Octave with our product Reliance. So just to answer that, and let's take a look here. So, Alicia, this looks like this might be for you. When you were initially looking for a quality management system, what were your requirements? What were your must-haves?
So my must-haves for us, because we are only ISO 9001, and I see this question here for IETF. Our biggest challenge was our document control. When I came in, we implemented our internal audit program and found when we were doing our internal audits, it was just a big mess. And we had to get that under control, or we were just not going to be successful within achieving the ISO 9001. So this solution with ETQ, not only were we able to do our, follow our document through the approval processes, but you can initiate the change. So you can initiate the change with your manager and say, hey, this is why we need the change. So ETQ tracks, or Octave now, tracks that for us. Why did we need the change? And then you go through, yes, it's good to go ahead and proceed. No, we do not need to proceed. And then explain why. So that part of the document control is I really like that part of it. And then we haven't implemented the CAR, PAR, and the SCAR module, but it links you to your suppliers. So you're able to take your supplier module with the SCAR. And if you're having any issues, and I know this is something that with the tier one automotive customers, with your suppliers, you can talk with them with this. It's very easy. You can add their emails in it. You can share files with your 8Ds or 3Ds or however you're needing to communicate your problem solving process with them. And it's real time. I mean, if they get a notification, it's set up properly, they get a notification and then they can respond back. I've utilized other eQMSs, and sometimes the supplier side of it is very cumbersome if it's not set up properly. So I hope that answered that question.
No, I think you did. Thank you so much. So we have a question in here. Someone's curious to know how many other software options did you look at before opting to go with Octave ETQ?
Okay, so I looked at 7 different ones. It got down to 3 because our to get approval, you have to have 3 quotes from different options. And then it boiled down to 2, and then we ended up choosing ETQ. I'm not saying, it wasn't just on cost, it was on how y'all were able to help us be successful and launch it off, get it off the ground, and also set us up with the tools and the um, training to be able to implement the rest of them. And you do also have the option to be able to help with us, launch another session, because like our first session was a quick launch. We were able to, utilize people from ETQ to help us launch those first 4 modules. And then if we really needed it, we could have utilized that again. But we were successful in learning and understanding how to launch the next modules, that we are able to do that for ourselves in-house. So that's what helped me lean towards ETQ.
All right, thanks for sharing that. I have seen a couple of questions come up about a demo. We weren't planning on showing a demo today, but if you go to octave.com and choose Reliance, you can request a demo with one of our solution engineers. And if I get a chance, I'll drop in the link here in the chat before we wrap up our call today. Okay, so here's another call for you, or call question for you, Alicia. Are you planning to implement the non-conformance Kappa modules?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And we're going to utilize it within the internal, since we're the end user and the suppliers come to us. A lot of ours is more SCAR, but we're also going to utilize the non-conformance within there for our internal issues that we have going on.
Okay, great. And let's see, what else do we have here? Is there a problem like having a QMS will make some limitations for the quality manager, as they will not be able to manage any change and need to depend on programmers to make changes? Okay.
Absolutely not. I have not had any problems with that. I have control. I can go in there and make changes to the system without utilizing someone from ETQ to make those changes. There is a designer module that I'm able to go in and gone through the ETQ Academy. So we have 4 power users here that have all gone through the ETQ Academy, and we have learned how to be a designer within it, so we could go in and make those changes and then do the promotion into the test environment, and then promotion into the val, and then the right into production to make sure everything flows through that. Now, ETQ does offer, if we totally mess up the system, they could come in and fix it. But right now, we haven't had any issues, and I have done changes.
That's good to hear. Yeah, we have an easy drag and drop design feature.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very user friendly. It makes it really easy to do it. So you don't need to worry about having programmers on staff or reaching out to us to help, and unless you want us to. So
Yeah. Yes,
um,
and matter of fact, I'm working through the MOC right now, because we do an experiment card first, then we do like a temporary deviation, and then we launch it into production. And I'm building that right now, where I'm doing it where it's experiment card. It looks exactly like the form we have now, and it's been pretty exciting to be able to do that.
excellent. That's good to hear. So we have another question here. Does the system easily integrate with ERPs and PLMs, such as an LN for Infor or AR Eris? Easy answer is yes. It with the APIs, you can integrate with any business system. I don't know, Lisa, perhaps if you wouldn't mind sharing, have you integrated with any business systems on your end?
So, like I said, we launched our ERP system last year. So we haven't done it yet, but we can, because in your asset module, you're able to link it to your part numbers that are in your ERP system. So when you're having a problem with a part, you can pull that part up, and you know what supplier goes to it. It's just we've looked at it a little bit. We haven't dived into it because that's not one of our, since we were launching P21, it's been hard just getting that launch going. And I think that was the one that we have put off to wait until we get our ERP system the way we need it, and then we'll include that into ETQ.
Okay, great. So not yet, but on the list.
On the
Um,
list, yes.
so Alicia, how long was the ETQ Academy for you, the lessons there? Would you say that it took for you to go through what you
So to
needed?
go so to go through all of it to be able to make the changes, it took me probably about 5 or 6 hours. It's about an hour a module. I think there was one module that was about an hour and a half, but overall it didn't take that long. It was just trying to find that hour here and the hour there to finish the modules. But they were
Okay,
easy to go through, and once you go through one of them, they're basically the same. The way it's set up, how you put it together. It was very easy after you got through the first one.
well, that's good to hear. I'll pass that on to Jillian. She puts that all together for us. She'll be
Yeah.
happy to hear that. um, just another integration question. Does Octave support an integrated QMS and EHS? Yes.
Yeah.
You name it, we
Yes.
Octave Reliance will integrate with it. Um, let's see. So, Alicia, when you had to go through the approval process with the decision makers, what did that look like for you? Was there a strategy that you found that worked? How, because we talked in the presentation about putting together a business case and an ROI.
Yeah. So the return on investment wasn't that important for our team, because us being a starter company, it was, let's find the right QMS for our culture and what we needed and how they could help us be successful to get it started. And that was the most important thing that I needed to do to sell this to the decision makers. So I have to say, ETQ did a great job of putting a presentation together that I was able to easily walk through with the decision makers. And it was a very hands down choice of ETQ due to that.
That's great to hear. They're working with you on that. Um, so if you had one piece of advice for our audience here today, who they're thinking about their transition to a QMS, what would it be?
So, my biggest piece of advice is to make sure you have the resources and they are dedicated to you to do the support with the quick launch. The quick launch was just exactly what it says. You did every week, it was a module that you put together. And we did not have the right focus with everything else going on, and it took longer than it should have. And I do, I've always apologized that to ETQ because but they worked with us and graciously worked with us with the complications that we had going on.
That's good to hear. So yes, have the resources. Okay, so I think we'll wrap this up with one more question. You shared with us many benefits that Takeuchi has received with using a QMS, but if you had to whittle it down to just one, what would you say is the biggest benefit that you have received from a QMS and why?
The biggest benefit is the communication and the traceability of our document control now. Before, it was just so cumbersome and not knowing where it was And even our document control specialist, when we implemented, she was like, this is the easiest thing ever. Why didn't we do this sooner? I mean, that was her biggest thing was, having to chase down a paper, having to get people to sign things off. The training is within the document control. You can assign that training to who you need to assign it to, or a group of people that it needs to be assigned to, and you can trace the training with your with your documents being updated. And there's just the time of approval. It is so quick now. I get an email, I go in there, I click the link, it takes me straight to the document. I look at what the changes are. I'm able to easily know if I can approve it or disapprove it, and then it moves on. Our timing of approving documents went from weeks to hours.
Wow,
Yes.
that's amazing.
Yes.
Awesome. So communication and being more efficient and cutting out all those wasted hours and
Yes.
whatnot. So thank you so much, Alicia, for sharing
You're
Takeuchi's
welcome.
journey with us and with our audience today. And thank you, audience, for joining and asking your questions. We really appreciate it. As I mentioned at the top of the session, you will receive an email with a link to a recording of this. And we hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Y'all have a great afternoon.